This is the stuff dreams are made of. I'm writer-collector Ryan Condal.
And I'm writer-collector Dave Mandel, and you're listening to the original movie prop collecting podcast. This is a two-parter, part one, brought to you by Heritage Auctions, ha.com. We are winding up the year. They just had their big entertainment auction in Dallas, Texas, but they have so much more always coming, so please check out ha.com for all your auction needs. Heritage Auctions. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Dave.
How you doing?
Good. This is our. This is us saying goodbye to 2025. How do you feel about that?
I guess we should. I feel very good. I am auctioned out. I am stuff that dreams are made of to out. I am talking into a microphone to out. I'm even bored with interrupting people. That's how bored I am.
Oh man.
Yeah. No, I know.
How far we've fallen.
Yeah. And that's my favorite thing.
Does that mean you're not going to interrupt me tonight?
I've got a little bit left. I think I got a little bit.
Some in the tank?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually we'll get Bart to do this for part 2 of this exciting podcast. I meant to ask him to do this earlier, but I have been wall to wall for the last 3 days without time to breathe. But Bart, while you're there listening offline, I was curious how many episodes we did in 2025. I know we did a lot.
I have a rough calculation. 1,200. We did 1,200 episodes.
It sounds right. But Bart's going to find out the actual real number, and we will reveal it to you live on the air in the second part of this podcast.
Or the second episode, because it's really 2 episodes. We're going to give them 2 different numbers. Yeah. So, Bart, these are 2 episodes for billing purposes.
Crudely joined together in the middle, yes.
What else has been going on? Anything exciting or just kind of whatever?
Yeah. I mean, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Actually, I will say London does Christmas really well. I think they're conscious of the fact that how dark and depressing it gets so quickly here in November. So they really bring on the Christmas spirit, and the streets
lights,
are decorated.
If nothing else, more light.
More light.
Things,
yes. Tinsel and light to bring it in. Winter Wonderland going on in Hyde Park. It's very festive. I mean, I think it's the most Christmassy place that I've ever lived, and nice. London has that certain sort of charm. Being in the north, it's a colder place. It just feels like Christmas, and they do it very well. So there's been just a bunch of Christmas festivity going on, and end of the year get-togethers before everybody travels to the wind. So we've been sort of double banked and double booked and all that. But it's been a good time, and in between that, all working on the show and finishing. Well, not really finishing, but starting post-production, cuts, editing, visual effects, all those fun things, and then writing the next season, which we began in earnest kind of a couple months ago. So we're making great progress on kind of all fronts. So it's busy. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're done with production? Isn't that
right?
Isn't
so
that
you're just done right now?"
Yeah. So it's a big vacation for you, and it's like, no, actually, oddly, my life gets way crazier now, because even though maybe the hours are better and you're not getting in the car at 6:30 in the morning or whatever to go to the studio, the team skinnies down to essentially 25 people between post and the writing office, and everything is sort of everybody is looking at me. Where are we with the next cut? You have
to hit those cut deadlines for effects stuff, right? Basically.
Yeah. And it's not, production, as is so much about the directors and the cast, and you're shepherding and stewarding and overseeing and all that. But really, at the point of production, if you've done your job, it's really the director's stress point with the tone meeting set and all that. And now it's all come back to me, and the cycle of notes beginning again from the studio and all those things.
Do you guys schedule or plan on or even a loose plan of okay, at some point we're probably going to do 2 days of reshoots, little pieces of things and whatnot, or more if it comes up?
Yeah, we sort of start cataloging things, early, and it's more. It's more, thankfully, in these past 2 seasons, it's been more kind of enhancements, pickups, things to glue other things together versus
right.
No,
I didn't mean reshoot Act 2. I just meant we really, I think we need a better explanation, or we need to sort of, how did we get here, or we need to see the sword come out of the scabbard. We don't have that, or whatever.
Yeah, or she just appears and we need her walking out of the tunnel and whatever, all that stuff. Yes, and and we do have things that we're already looking at. But very smartly, Kevin, our producer, started actually building that into not only the schedule and the production plan, but also the budget of the show.
Oh, nice.
So it's just presumed that, for a set, within X number of days, meaning shoot days, we will be coming back. And we usually do this at the sort of, beginning of the following year. So this would be a couple months down the road, once we have a good handle on everything, because you need to be able to prep and build and all that and get everybody kind of loaded back in to do that stuff, but still have time to cut it and finish it so it doesn't affect your final deadline. So it limits what you can do that needs complex visual effects and things like that. But yes, that's all built in kind of into the plan, and that's one of the nice things about making a show of this sort of visibility and scale is you can plan to be able to pick things up. Whereas on Colony, we just had to live with everything that we shot all the time. Right. And you had to get very creative in editing sometimes to make things work. But that's just I would say that's the state of most showrunners. I have the sort of happy kind of outlier sort of view of things from where I'm sitting. But yes, that is in the plan, and as it was in season 2, and we picked up things in season 1 too. It just wasn't part of the initial plan, but we were able to plan for it and do it.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. So yeah. But all exciting. It's really good. We've actually started turning episodes over to the network so they can see their first drafts of things, and they are very happy, which is always nice to hear.
Did you, may I ask, did you play your little joke? Are you allowed to?
We haven't done that one yet. But
we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that someday.
So I'm gonna call you this week and be like, do I do this or not? What's my upside? What's my downside? Who's got a sense of humor over there? Yes, I had a funny visual gag, but maybe we'll tell you at some point. So, yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
What's happening with you?
Very, very quiet, which
in
is
Whoville.
Fine and good. There's a fun, that was actually fun. It's not exactly a what's new in props, but for those interested, if anyone either subscribes to New York Magazine's Vulture or wants to subscribe to Vulture, which is like, I think you don't have Vulture. To pay money. You just have to sign up, I believe. I'm not sure, but...
You do. There is a subscription because you have to be, I think, a New York Magazine.
You have to be a New York Magazine subscriber.
Okay. But the benefit is you get Vulture stuff, which is the sort of pop culture angle of New York Magazine. But you also get New York Magazine, which is a great magazine.
Yes,
I found it
true.
Very worthwhile for whatever it's worth.
Long story short, they did a really wonderful oral history of The Grinch That Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version, which was wonderful. Yeah, am the uncredited writer or uncredited co-writer with my old writing partners Jeff Schaefer and Alec Berg, and they interviewed us extensively, which was very fun. And they sort of also tell the story of how we lost the credit, which is both a little heartbreaking and whatever, but it was sort of nice and fun to sort of see it in print. So that was exciting. But it's a very cool article. Just it was a wild shoot, and Jim in that costume, which just sort of was slowly eating his soul and stuff. Yeah. But how good he was in that.
I like the part where he tried to pay $20 million to get out of the situation that he had gotten himself in. I liked him both being that desperate and also that rich. I enjoyed
the 20
both of those
really
things.
wasn't any skin off his back. But yes, exactly. So check that out. It was very fun, and it was a fun little interview that my partners and I did a couple of weeks ago, and then it came out really nicely. So that was very fun. Other than that, a week left of school and all that kind of stuff, and the holidays. So looking forward to a little of that, and nothing too exciting. What's new in props? Anything new in props for you?
I have something right here over my right shoulder. If you can see it, this is the new mystery acquisition. Does anybody know what it is?
It's a tough angle. I mean, maybe
it's a weird one. I'm gonna go grab it and pull it out of the case so we can all see what it is. 1 second. Bart, play the Jeopardy music.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. We had a little girl from Ipanema elevator music while you were doing.
I'm re-headphoning here. So, do we know what it is?
Well, I do, but go ahead.
Yeah. This is the Dread Pirate Roberts hero sword from The Princess Bride. I mean, just kind of amazing. Cool. Look at that, and with all that patina and age on it, and look at the hilt. How wonderful that is. I actually learned a little detail from the Propstore guys. This is a cabinet pull.
Really, like literally just like off oh, nice.
Screwed right on. Apparently the sword maker who made this, that was just a common move of his during the period to make pommels. He would just like find little bits of hardware that were around, and cabinet pulls and things like that just suited really well. But, this was all really, handmade at the time. You can see the grip, which used to be black. There's sort of some brown showing through, which is either age or the original color of the leather. But there's all this wonderful patina on it. And it's great. They made 2 of these for the film, and 2 heroes. And even though this doesn't, I guess, technically screen match, you can kind of screen match it by deduction, because knowing that there are 2 heroes, if you accept that as fact, one of them, this is a little further away from the pommel, and the other one is much closer, so you can kind of see which one he's holding at the time.
At different points.
Yeah, exactly. Especially during the fight. So this one is there. In it, and it's wonderful. So Chris Barton made this beautiful stand for it, which I'm going to now go put it back in. Jeopardy music again. I'll come back and we'll talk a little more.
Tall and tan, so young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes goes, ah. Oh, sorry. Hi.
Thanks for vamping for me, Dave. No, it's very exciting. This was a piece that was sort of on my unicorn list of things that I've always wanted, and it came available in the last couple of months. This was previously owned by Tim Laws, very good friend of mine, very good friend of the podcast, who I met, was one of the first collectors I think I ever met in the game. And this piece stuck out to me as something, because Tim owned this for over 25 years. It always stuck out in my brain as the first thing that I saw that I didn't know existed. I knew there were indie whips out there. I knew there was an indie hat out there, an indie costume.
You just hadn't thought about the world beyond Lucas, right?
Right. And then he said, "Well, what other movies do you like?" And we were chatting, and it happens Princess Bride is his favorite movie, and easily in my top 3, top 5, depending on the day. And we just bonded around our mutual love for that film. And he said, "Oh, I actually own something from it." And then I came out here shortly after I started collecting. When I got really serious into collecting, I came out here to visit and see a bunch of collections. And he brought this out and showed it to me, and it just broke my brain. So this has been in my mind for a long time. But Tim is a very close friend, and it just was always this very dear thing to him. So I just assumed that he was going to clutch it to his chest and be pushed out to sea in a Viking funeral. But things change and life changes over time, and the value of these things, particularly these pieces from the 1980s genre stuff, it just became sort of undeniable. And life changes come along, and trying to make preparations for what are we doing next, and buying real estate and things that sort of change the thinking in people's brains. So he, a couple months ago, just came to me quietly and just said, "Hey, I might," because I said, I left it open. I just sort of said, "Whenever you're ready, I would love to chat, but I'm not going to harass you about this," because I know how dear it is to him, and it really was. I can see even now when he sees it, it's pained him to let it go, and I think he's very happy that it's landed with me, because he knows how much I care for everything here.
Right, and he can visit it, which is always pretty solid. Yes. And
he knows how much I love the film, and he knows that I'm not going to turn around and be like, "Oh, I found this other shiny object in 6 months and I flip it and whatever." But I just think it's one of these things that was part of his life for such a long time. It's essentially like a child to him. I mean, he doesn't have kids.
Do you know, without without giving away any secrets, do you know where he found it years ago? Like where
Yeah,
it came from?
Steven and Propstore turned it up. There was a big hoard from a special effects guy who had. This is not a special effects sword, but this is like, some people know that in the Propstore collection there's a beautiful retract Conan the Barbarian sword that's metal, but it has the blade that the tip sort of spring retracts into the rest of the blade. It's basically it's a hero without being a hero. It's that good.
Right.
That came in that same collection. It was just a guy that had all this stuff and was looking to raise money and whatever. And Dave, it would pain you very much to know what the prices of these things.
Yeah, sure. $3 for all of it.
Yeah,
yes,
my God,
exactly.
my God. Tim was making jokes about owing a favor of the 50% of the sale, and he always holds up a hand and says of the original purchase price. Yeah, but nobody knew at the time. It was, again, 25 years ago. I'm sure the guy was very happy to take the cash home that he took home at the time for all this stuff.
And I'm sure it was a fine number at the time. It just, who
yes.
knew? Yeah.
Yes, but it was a Propstore acquisition, very well known special effects guy. But this was earmarked for Tim, right out of the bat, because that was his favorite movie.
His all-time fave. Yep.
Yes. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me. As with all of these things, as the timing is never perfect. You just go like when it rains, it pours, and oh my God, how am I? But I just sort of said, this is my one opportunity to this. I have to kind of figure it out. And you'll notice other things are missing from the cage here. So I did move some things on. So you'll be seeing a bunch of things in next year's Propstore auction. Some of you can maybe guess, seeing what's not in there, what might be available. It's nothing that I feel like I had to cut off or give a kidney or whatever to give up, but it was stuff that I really liked, and I had to make this real decision.
No, but you upgraded some stuff, so to speak, and I think it makes sense. Yeah, I think when you're ready
to curation opportunity.
Yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile when those pieces actually come up to talk about sort of the thought process. But at least until they're public, we'll save that for next year, as they say.
Next year's discussion, yes. Yeah. But I'm just pleased as punch and honored, and it's funny because I did this thing where I was like, okay, I'm going to let go of these things. And then I kind of immediately just got them out of the house because I didn't want to think on it and be like, oh, maybe I should keep. I just wanted to make this. And I just took them up there. And within a week, I didn't have it yet, but I was holding the sword and I just didn't care about anything that I had said goodbye to. So it was totally the right decision. And I'm thrilled to have it. I mean, it's just one of these things where it's like, literally, if I don't buy anything for a year, I don't care. Right. It's like, this is such a major,
really, really good with the mask and whatnot. I mean, it really, they really go together in a fabulous way. I mean, it's sort of, a perfect little, not little, but you know what I mean, a perfect Princess Bride sort of display
collection,
I guess. Yes, collection.
Yeah. And I had nothing for so long, and now to have these two, it's just it's a thrill, and I'm very grateful to Tim, and it's just a major collecting box kind of checked for me, or ticked, as you would say in England. Ticked the box.
Nice.
So that's my big what's new in props for kind of 2025. So how about that?
Very nice. Bravo. I've obviously I've known about this, but I guess so I'm not shocked, but I love it. So it's great. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Big one. And I start to wonder, and this can be maybe a topic for 2026 when we do eventually come back. It's kind of like, what's next? Because I think you had this with the X-Wing. You get these big things in, and you start, kind of go, well, I'm not going to stop collecting. But also, it really, the signal to noise ratio gets really clear in your mind when you get something that big, and you just kind of go, I don't care about other things as much as I care about that.
It's a fascinating combination, though, of you have something that you really truly have been like, to some extent looking for forever. And maybe this is a good segue into the start of the show, or the beginning of the start of the show. There were some numbers in both auctions that were just like wild. I mean, just there were some heritage numbers, and obviously the big piece in the heritage auction is, of course, the Tom Jung half sheet poster. And that sold for, all in, so Hammer plus Vig, that's $3.875 million. So, basically $3.9
Wow.
million. And that doesn't include, tax or anything else like that. That is a wild number. That is a huge number. And we'll get into that number in a second. But what I was going to say is when things that you sort of maybe are thinking about go for numbers like that, where you're just like, wow, it is this very funny thing. And I know people, I think, maybe one of the complaints occasionally about our show is that you and I are definitely, purchasing big numbers, but we're also hitting this very strange point where you and I definitely can buy big number pieces, but even with that as a given, the numbers on some of this stuff are getting so big
Yeah.
that we either don't want to or shouldn't, or however you want to talk about it, or honestly can't. And it's a very strange thing.
The Tom Jung piece is a yacht of a different color.
Yes, exactly. And it is a very funny thing to feel, on the one hand, so privileged in a good way, and be thankful for being so privileged, and yet oddly feeling so poor at the same time, even though those two things don't sound like they go together.
Are we on the verge of being outclassed?
Yeah.
And this great stuff that we want, just saying like, sorry, I'm out at that price, and I'm out at a $10 million Frank Frazetta painting.
Yeah, I mean the Tom Jung piece, and we'll talk a little bit about this just to start. And there's other stuff in the auction that I want to point to, but that Tom Jung piece, I mean, I'll say a couple of things. Number one, first of all, the craziest thing was that was all. It was at that number the day before bidding started, so all of the action on it was in the pre-bidding. I mean, it was bidding, but it wasn't the live auction, which is something I've not experienced in props in a really long time. I guess I've occasionally seen one bid and it never gets another bid, but the idea that it went from its original 1 million up to Hammer 3-1, all during the sort of the non-live auction section, just the regular online bidding, was just wild. So the actual auction, it just was they tried to get more bids, but it was at 3-1, which was 3.875. So that was just wild. And I will be very honest with you, based on where other poster pieces, or I should say original poster art sold, we've seen the E.T. poster, which I think is one of the all-time great posters. Yeah. That was a couple of years ago. But not that long ago, we recently saw the Apocalypse Now.
Correct.
I thought they were
Excalibur.
Yep, I thought they were a little crazy asking $1 million. I'm not going to lie. I thought
they were way crazy.
Yeah, I thought if you'd asked me my strategy was to wait for it not to get a bid and then see if I could work out a number after the. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's as honest as I can be. I was shocked that it got $1 million. I was shocked when it was at 1.3 million, and I was bowled over when it was at 3.1. And
before the auction even started, right?
And before we get into the rest of the auction, we actually got a special little interview with the owners of the piece. Melissa,
the consigners.
Yes, I should say the consigners. Actually, good point. This came from the Gary Kurtz's family, his two daughters, Melissa and Tiffany, who I've gotten to know a little bit over the last year or so. And they've agreed to come on and chat about it a little bit. We thought that would be very fun. So we're interviewing them at a different time. So we're going to put that in and then we'll come back. So without further ado, with a little talk about their father, Gary Kurtz, and the piece and the selling of it and all that kind of stuff. Melissa Kurtz and Tiffany Hill Kurtz is her married name. So here you go. Hey, guys.
Hey. How are you? Nice to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you for being on. Tell everyone who you are, where you are, and what you do, if that's okay to start, just so people understand, because we're in 2 different places. We're now in 4 different places, or actually, I guess 3 different places, because 2 of us are sort of near each other. But go ahead.
This is a triumph of technology tonight.
Yes. I'll start. I am in Los Angeles, so I'm near David, and I am I am in Los Angeles, and I'm also working as an animation producer. Generally, that is what I do. So
Cool.
I'm keeping the animated trains running on time and
Excellent.
making sure that everybody has their plan and has their map and knows where we're all going, and then helps them get there.
Love
Do you
it.
work for a specific studio, or are you affiliated with a production company?
I am freelance, so I work on whatever I'm doing. Most recently, I've been working at Disney on Monsters at Work, the series, and Prep and Landing, the Christmas special, which just came out. It is on Disney Plus
Ooh.
right now.
Oh, excellent. My kids are going to love that. I am going to dial that up and put it in the feed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pretend that my kids want to watch it, and then I'll just watch it myself.
That's good. It's fun. Watch it. Yeah, many times as you want. It's super fun. It's great.
And I'm in France, and I am a film editor, also in animated features, and came here years
Excellent.
ago and for 18 months, and it's been accidentally years. Still here.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
that's excellent. You guys both went into the family business. I love it.
Yeah, forever I was going to be a producer. It's all I wanted to do was be a producer, and then I accidentally fell into editing and been doing that.
Did you go to film school?
No,
No, just kind of fell into the editing. Wow.
yeah, I mean, I that was the plan. The plan was to go to USC, just like Dad, and but I wanted to take a year off between, and then I started working. Dick Darner gave me a PA job, and then I got another PA job, and I got a coordinator job, and then I got, and then I just kept working, and then between I was in production for years, live action, and then some animation. Melissa sucked me in animation, and then there was some show, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, they need editors over at Sony TV," and I was like, "I can do that. I'm good with computers," and then that's what I fell into. So Melissa got the producer gig, and I got the editing.
Incredible. Yeah, I was going to ask, did somebody, working for Dick Donner, did somebody specific give you the break that led immediately to editing, or was that really just answering the right call at the right time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the editing was totally unrelated. It was just I'd never done TV. I'd never done editing. But I mean, I'd edited like shorts. I was working on a movie and everything was shut down except story, and I was the coordinator of story. So editorial was empty. So we went
Okay.
out and shot some shorts and used the Avids to do it. So I edited those, but not professionally.
I'm
And so
pretty
they needed
sure that's a union violation. I'm going to have to write you up. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm not sure it was a union show back then. there was nobody there, and but yeah, and so then they just needed animatics editors, and I thought I could do that, and then I went back to production, and actually, the show I started editing for real on, I was the editorial manager, production manager, a friend of mine, and she said, "Come do this," and then one of the editors left because he couldn't move to London with the show, and then they said, "Hey, you want to come with us?" And we said, "Sure," and then they made me a full-time editor.
Wow.
That is
Excellent.
excellent.
That's really cool. And growing up around the film business, was there, were you kind of, was it the siren call? You were sort of drawn to it, and then you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't know if I want to follow in Dad's footsteps, or what? I mean, it must have been so cool growing up around it, but it was also, that meant that it was kind of normal everyday life for you, unlike most of us who just sort of try to look over the garden wall from afar when we were growing up. I mean, what was that like?
Tiffany always knew from the age of 2 that she was going into the film business.
Yeah.
It was just always a done deal for sure. I wasn't planning on it. I was planning on being a graphic designer or writer or something else. And, you do when you get out of college and you're just doing this job and that job. And Tiffany got a call from somebody down in LA, a friend of ours, that we knew, who said, "Hey, I need an assistant for 6 months." And she said, "Well, I'm busy, but Melissa's available." And so I came
There
down
you are.
for 6 months to hang out and stay with her and work on that job. And that led to being in the world of animation. So there I was with
Perfect.
Chuck Jones Productions, which is great because I got to work with Chuck Jones.
Oh, wow.
And
Really
the
cool.
first animated project I worked on was a 7-minute short for Stay Tuned, the movie. And
Oh.
they had where the characters fell into the cable dish and various.
Yeah, that was John Ritter, right? And somebody, but
Pam
John Ritter.
Dauber.
Yeah. Oh, Pam Dauber. Okay. Yep.
Yes. And so one channel they fell into was an animated channel, and they became cartoon mice. And So we got to do that. And I was just there soaking it up. And I was the coordinator on the show. And I just asked a million questions and I wrote a million notes and I just kept on going. And I learned the entire process of animation. That was my animation film school.
Chuck Jones is a pretty good school. Yeah,
That's a good one.
pretty excellent. Yeah.
And we did it all traditional. It was hand drawn in LA, animators, cleanup artists, background painter was there. We indeed lost our digital paint connection. So the people who were doing it were also from Disney. So they knew all the ink and paint ladies and they brought them all over and we had actual painted cells on that movie.
Wow.
That was super cool.
That's really neat. Did you keep a cell?
I do have a cell. Yes. One of the characters.
Well, we like to, memorabilia is very important on this show, so we always like to ask. Yeah, exactly. We like to ask.
Yeah, stealing from your workplace is an important thing on our show, which we promote it and we do it ourselves.
So obviously a giant congratulations. I mean, the number, without like getting into, what did you think and whatever, but it's an amazing number. Just congratulations. There's no other word for it. I wanted to ask a little bit about the painting in Star Wars itself. I mean, how old were you guys roughly? I'm sorry, I hope I'm not, you're never supposed to ask a lady, but like you guys were kids when Star Wars basically was being made, right? And you guys basically grew.
I was 7.
Okay, yeah. So you guys basically grew. I mean, you grew up on that set. I mean, it's a part of your life. Tiffany, you've shown me pictures of like you guys as like Jawas and stuff. Like, those memories of your dad of the movie. Were you on set for the whole thing, or were you guys visiting at different times on the school year? Like, tell us about the making of Star Wars from your perspective as sort of a 7 and 9-year-old little girls, and dad has a new job and it sounds weird. What do you remember?
I'm wondering if I remember a lot of the set there, but remember going to Tunisia because we went for the whole time to Tunisia and where Jawa's there. And yeah, I think it's just part of life. It's just what you did. Like in not for Star Wars days, but for other in LA, like the school bus would let us off at Universal Studios, like because that's where Dad's office was. And so then you went and said hi to the guard, and you went and just played until it was time to go home. And but so it's just it just was life. And
that's so cool.
And then all these people that were just so friendly to us. Everybody was so sweet. And as a kid, you have no idea who Alec Guinness is, right? Like. But he was the guy that would play battleships with us because if we were bored, we're like, we want to play a game, and he would play. So it was just we didn't know. It was just this sweet guy that was very nice to us. So I think it was just everybody was so open to having us there, which was.
Did anyone else bring their kids? Were there other kids around, or was it really just you guys?
I don't remember any other kids being there.
Wow.
No.
That's excellent.
I don't think anybody else had kids except maybe Francis, and that wasn't his world. So
yeah, it was early. They were in their 30s. The filmmakers were in their 30s, so they were just starting kind of world. And I'm so grateful that he did bring us with him, that my mom said, hey, let's go, we're all going, we're going to England, so we're all going there, so we could just be there and be home every time he came home from work. There we were, and we could go to the office, and my aunt was his assistant, so we were hanging out with family when we were at the office too. So it was.
You should say your aunt's name, because she's well known to Star Wars collectors and stuff. Say her name.
Yeah, yes. Bunny also was our aunt, and
very famous in Star Wars circles. Yes, very cool.
Yes, and
she actually, as well as Dad, taught us to be really good producers, because we would just be there at the office all afternoon, and so she would have us file, and she would have us go get stuff, and so like when I file alphabetically in a folder, like I think of Bunny, because she taught us, because she had to keep us busy and helpful. And she was so good at what she did, and so she trained us as well.
Can you pick yourself out on screen which Jawas you were?
Yes, I am the one. I'm for sure. I'm the one next to the one who shoots R2-D2.
Okay.
So that means I'm on a Panini sticker. I'm on a baseball card. You know,
awesome. Yeah.
So that's fun.
And we think I know that there was just us and like one other kid, and then the rest was Tunisian kids and Jack Purvis. And the other kid, I don't know if he was a cameraman's son or somebody's. Anyway, we were too small to carry our two. We're not carrying them off, and so there's two that are following behind, and I'm one of those.
Too. Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. And I'm pretty sure that when they're all going to R2, there's a really small one that's the gown is too long and going like, oh. And I'm pretty sure that's me. There's other scenes of like shooing like the spider robot and, you know, ducking behind the walls.
That's perfect.
Us, but
I will never watch A New Hope the same way again now.
There you go. If you want to know which Jawa is Tiffany, it's the cutest one. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're super cute. And the littler you are, the cuter you are.
And then also in Empire, when Lando says everybody evacuate, and then everybody starts running, if you go frame by frame, you can see us running and bumping into Carrie Fisher.
Cool.
But not as Jawas at that point. No. You've upgraded or something to.
You can see my red hair, and our nanny was with us, and like, you know, we're just running down the hallway and whatever they decided Cloud City people clothes were. And
Dave, as you know, the Jawas were native to the Tatooine Desert, and they were not found in Cloud City. They could not survive the environment at that altitude.
What about a vacation, like a Jawa vacation or
an exchange program?
Yeah, Jawa honeymoon or something. No.
Yeah. They went to learn from the Ugnaughts, and the Ugnaughts went to learn on Tatooine from them. It's very sweet.
Yeah, they were busy. They were busy scavenging. That's what they do.
So I mean, did you realize, I mean, obviously with Star Wars, it was sort of just an independent film, no possible way of kind of knowing what that was going to become. I'm sure it was very cool as kids. I mean, at the time you're going off and doing Empire, it's the biggest movie franchise in the world. I mean, and you guys are a little bit older at that point, did you realize that how sort of rare and wild that this experience was at that point to be not even just in the movie, but just to be around the production, and your dad is like the producer of the movie? I mean, what was all that like?
Was there high school cachet of like, our dad produced Star Wars? Like, did that get you invited to any good parties? Like, that's what we're really asking. Yeah.
Right. Maybe.
Huh. Yeah, I don't remember it being that big of a thing.
It was just Los Angeles, and everybody just kind of was in the business kind of thing.
Well, I think we were mostly in England.
Okay. And
then, my high school was in Connecticut, and yeah, I'm sure people cared, but I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Like, you'd think it would be more important. I don't know, but yeah, I think people thought it was really
cool. The kids'
cool.
perspective of it.
Yeah,
but,
we did get to have a benefit for our school at the Fox Studios. We had a benefit screening in early May of '77 before the movie came out. So we had a big party benefit. It had tables and eights and a band, and Mark and Carrie and Harrison were there with Dad, and everybody came to celebrate, and all of the school was invited to buy tickets for this benefit and see the movie, and then have this dinner dance party afterwards on the Fox lot, which is super cool. And
neat.
So that was a fun adventure for the people who partook of that. Now, that was Star Wars, so they didn't know what that was,
right?
And not everybody came, but the people who came enjoyed it, and that was a fun thing that they got to do. Everybody at that party got the lucite stars around the table. That was the gift for the table, were the lucite stars.
Oh, cool. Okay,
that's where those started.
Okay,
and then also we did I went to school for a while in Marin, Northern California, and then Mom and Dad put together the Sounds of Space concert. I don't know if you've seen those posters.
That has the Ralph McQuarrie poster art. I'm sorry,
art,
did the art? Yes, it's a gorgeous poster.
Because it was Star Wars music, but it was also Flash Gordon and 2001 and Close Encounters, and so that was another benefit for that school. So they
I didn't realize that was connected to a school. Oh, okay, wow, fascinating. All right.
And our mom organized both of those benefits because she was always the one thinking about the celebration and the way to share it with the community, and how can we do that in a way that gives everybody knowledge about the film. It also benefits something that we feel is important.
She was also the best party giver ever. Like,
Oh,
she did
nice.
the Empire Strikes Back rap party,
Oh, wow.
on the bog set, that everybody was like, "What are you doing?" And it was amazing. And we had an annual Christmas party that everybody was like, loved. So
Yeah.
It's so funny because when you mention these things, like with the Empire Rap Party, like in our years as prop collectors and whatnot, like invitations to that party have sold in auction. Do you know what I mean? It's like these different things that you're sort of mentioning. There is sort of, like the Lucite stars, those have sold in auction. So it's just very funny that you guys were sort of at and a part of, and your mom planned these events, and then the memorabilia has sort of trickled down in a very funny way. I don't know. It's a funny, I don't know.
We just had jobs, because she gave baskets to everybody. So we had to you go fill the basket, and you do this, and they set up the tables, and you just all that prep. So you're like, it was just part of what we did.
Your dad, I had speaking of like jobs, I just was curious. Your dad was very famous as taking pictures on sets, and they put together those wonderful books at the end of Star Wars. There were, I guess, the two versions. There was the regular crew version, and then there was like the super nice version, and then he and George signed them to like people and whatnot, whatever. But were you guys involved with the assembly of those at all? Because there's stories of like, having to put those together by hand. No, you weren't around for that.
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. We were probably putting together the Christmas stockings.
I figured I'd ask.
Yeah. No, because I remember that happening, but we did not do that.
Do you have photos from the set, that stuff that was taken at the time?
Some of them.
It's always fascinating to see that.
We have a lot of Bunny's photos. Bunny took a lot of photos. Like, Dad took the most, and the next person to take photos the most was Bunny.
Oh wow, okay.
And we had pictures that were taken on the set when we were there and visiting. So Tiffany has a picture of herself and Dad when she's dressed in a rebel outfit, or I have a picture of myself just in regular civilian clothes and a Star Wars hat with Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, and Princess Leia all pointing guns at me like I am, I've been captured by the rebels.
Nice.
And so those are super fun to have just as a memory of like, here you were on the set, and that was happening.
Really cool.
Incredible.
Just amazing. So when did this painting enter your lives? Like, do you remember like your dad, forgive me for in the simplest term, bringing it home or hanging it up on the wall, or is there a memory of the painting, or was it more like later on it became more important to you guys, just in terms of like as a, I don't know, because it was as I don't know, a piece of art, I guess.
Yeah. I just remember it hanging behind his desk in the San Rafael office.
Ah, okay.
For years. That's like when I first remember it. I'm sure it was somewhere else before. I don't know, maybe the London office. I'm not sure, but that's when I remember it, because it was just so exactly right behind his.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. And it was a favorite of his, obviously. It was his. That's really cool. That's really excellent.
Yeah, there wasn't much in that office. It was a very simple office with not a lot of stuff in it. It was, books and a couch and a desk. It's very simple, and this one painting on the back, so it was very featured and just
because in London, his EMI office had everything. It had like Star Wars wallpaper. It had all the action figures. It was like, if it had Star Wars on it, like it was there. So I think it was a huge difference in that in the San Rafael office to be like, this is it. This is the.
Was there any connection with him to the painting? Like, as I know George, loved all of this stuff and the art and the artist, but did he have to go out and, is he the guy that made the first phone call to Tom Jung? I mean, was there any connection beyond just he liked the art? Do you know? Did he produce any part of the commercial campaign?
I'm not sure, but he did everything, so he was a part of everything, all of it. So I could see them at least having discussions about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, you know how the marketing departments, they just have a big plan and then they come and present to you and say, okay, so here's what we're thinking. And then the filmmakers give notes and they say, well, how about a little bit more of that and a little less of this? And so
Yeah.
that's the sort of discussions that go around these marketing things as you finally get to what you're going to think of as a poster.
Okay. And I'm asking the question because it's a collecting podcast. I'm not shaking you down for anything. But was there other stuff around? Were there like lightsabers and Darth Vader helmets and Star Destroyers? I mean, did your dad bring home that kind of stuff, the physical ephemera that was used in the movie, or not as much as like paperwork and obviously the incredible painting?
Not as much from Star Wars. I don't remember in our house. Like we had Podling from Dark Crystal, and we had Yoda in the living room for a while.
Okay.
And we had the Dark Crystal like battle crystal and the swords.
Oh yeah.
It was in the corner of our living room for a long time, and things like that. But yeah, not a ton. I mean, I think he had a lot in his office.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys get action figures? Did you care?
Oh, we got every action figure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like every.
So
I
good.
wish we still had them, but like every production thing, like we got 3 boxes. We got 1 box for Melissa, 1 box for me, and 1 box for Dad.
Wow.
And we had no idea. We were just opening them and playing
No,
with
of
them.
course. But you know what? Good
Yeah.
that you played with them. Good. That's excellent. It's hilarious. Anything else? I mean, just obviously you lived with the painting for many years, whatever. If you don't mind, I mean, it just was time. Would you say, like, just something? It just kind of became time to sort of share it with the world, so to speak.
Yeah, it seems like it's been on our, on the fireplace mantle, you looking at it, and it's been a great and wonderful thing to look at and think about how great it was that we got to be part of that movie and what a great experience that was, and how wonderful it's been that it's made such an impact on the world, which is amazing and unexpected. And so that's all really fabulous. And also, a memory of Dad and how he had it behind his desk. So that's fun. So it's just been at home most of the time thinking about it. But I also know, as you go and you hear about things that are happening in the collecting world, and then you talk to people about when is the optimal time and what is this to other people in the world. And so you just think, well, maybe. And there's the idea that Star Wars' 50th anniversary is 2 years away, and a lot of things are going to be happening then. So that could be a lot of noise at that point,
Yeah.
I don't know how you ever know what the optimal time is, but I believe you guys discovered it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I would say you did.
Yeah.
You did just fine.
I don't know 100%. I don't know how we'll prove it, but I'm pretty sure you found the optimal time. Were you surprised? Because I know we were, that so much of the bidding really occurred before the live auction day.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a little, I mean, I'm totally appreciative, but it was not anticlimactic, but it's like you see the online bids, you're like, oh my gosh, oh, okay. And then it gets to like the live bidding and it's like, oh, okay. Because, it's just, I've never been part of an auction before, but like in movies and things, it's like, and it's so much energy and like, it was just like, okay. And you don't think it's going to go for more because of what a crazy number already,
Right.
So,
but the funny thing is, on the day before, when you're not, because I assume you guys were both watching the live auction or the feed or whatever I should say. But the funniest thing is, on the whatever the day before and the day before that, when it was kind of going crazy, were you getting texts or like email alerts or like as it kind of like at what point did you realize like oh my God, it was already at 1 million, then 1.3, and then all of a sudden 3. I mean, like. How, like, did someone let you know? Did one of you check? Like, were you calling each other? Like, it's just wild.
We did. We were checking it. We were monitoring it as we went because we wondered some of the things had been bid on before and some hadn't. And you're just looking at those and going, I wonder how that works. And then you'd say, hey, look, the number's different. And so we would text each other and say, look at that, it's different. So that was interesting along the way to watch how that happened and not knowing what would happen when you got to live. And it is fun. I mean, the auctioneers are so amazing at what they do. And the Heritage guys were just like, I'm just amazed by the art of what they can do in that auction space. So I was grateful for them doing that for everything that they were auctioning. And so it's interesting to hear how they do that. And
Yes.
whatever the number is, it's always fun.
They're very good at making collectors like Dave and I feel like we're idiots for not bidding one more time.
Yeah.
Right?
Just
If you
one
don't
more.
do this,
Just one.
your life is going to be a
more.
little
Yeah,
empty.
yeah.
$200, you're not going to lose this one,
Yeah,
right?
come on. Yeah, come on.
It's true.
I thought one of the coolest things, and we'll let you guys go, I thought one of the really cool things, and I hope you guys got to appreciate it, was because of the write-up of the piece, and then certainly after the sale, the writing about the piece, you know, because obviously the number got picked up, so, you know, as these things do. But it did seem like in describing the piece, it was really nice to just see your dad sort of basically re-mentioned and remembered. Obviously, you know,
Yeah.
Star Wars fans obviously know him and know his name, but it just was sort of like, because of the, you know, because it was coming from you guys and had been owned by him, it really sort of shouted his name out to the world in a really wonderful way. And
I really appreciated that, because
yeah.
there's, I mean, as you know, there's a ton of revisionist history out there that is not accurate. And like, you know,
Sure.
a couple books that have come out lately are just like, that is not what happened or whatever. And even the graphic novel in France that came out, you know, which it's illustrated really well, but you're just like, no, that's not right. You know, so just to, you know, put his name out there in a positive way, because it's not usually just, I mean, not positive, but it's just not the truth. And it's annoying. So it was nice to have, you know, some good stuff out there.
Yeah, and he really was the strength, the force behind the force, the person who held it all together and made sure that the center held, and the chaos and madness of making those movies was really, 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 really hard to make. And so I think it's good to remind everybody that the producer is the center point, and he did that for both of those movies. So
Yeah.
it was an empire where it couldn't have been done without him, and he had a lot of background that led to that too. So that was great.
No, I've been very blessed on my current show to work with two wonderful producers, one a physical producer and also a creative non-writing producer, and they really, it's very well described. It's not the role that you think of a lot in movie making or TV, because you always think of the creative, you know, who's the director, who's the writer, who's the showrunner, but it's such an important force. And you know, having grown up as a Star Wars fan and then having been on this side and seeing it go, you realize the sort of unseen hand of you know, what these people do. Particularly with something like Star Wars, which was against all odds from the very outset, and nobody believed in it. And it's this willing this thing into existence. And obviously a huge part of that is George Lucas, but you need that. You need the other person that believes in it too, that can see through the practical stuff. And like, you know, my producing partners are so good about, you know, just they're the lead blockers. They're like clearing out the way of things that, you know, could get in the way of me and my thought process and whatever, and trying to protect me maybe from things that I don't need to know right now, and things like that. And yeah, it's just a critically important role. And I think when you read the sort of the best journalistically done books about the making of Star Wars, you know, your dad's, you know, Gary Kurtz's his influence in those first two movies is unquestioned, at least to those of us that have really, you know, done the research, so to speak.
Yeah, he just made sure whatever needed to get done to make an excellent film happened, and that is a lot of invisible forces. You're right, and a lot of protecting, a lot of like hold the shields up and make sure nothing comes through. So that's a lot of work to do, and he did it with such calm demeanor. So that was very impressive. Good model for producing.
He made sure whatever needed to be done, he had two daughters that he could make do it and file stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. There you go. Reorganize, refine, do whatever is needed.
Yeah.
And you know, Dave, I wanted to say one thing about the painting and the right moment. I thought it's nice to have the right moment be a thing about Star Wars, because Dad always told stories about how Star Wars came out at just the right moment, when the world was dark with Vietnam and all of that, and people needed something light and fun. And the movie that was booked at the Chinese theater right after Star Wars. They had to get Star Wars out in a few weeks, and then the
Right.
next movie was going to be the big movie of the summer, and it just did not. It tanked and it bombed, and they were like, "Get Star Wars back in here." So it was the right thing for the
Right.
community and the world, and what we all needed at that moment too. So it was in the right time.
I believe
So
that was
Sorcerer.
Sorcerer. I believe
I think it was,
William
yeah.
Friedkin Sorcerer. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the right time. I like that. Guys, this isn't the end of the show, but for the end of our segment, we always play a little game, which is, and hopefully you guys, I realize you just sold a very large prop, but if you could have magically any prop, just like, even if it's not anything you ever had, but just anything from any movie or project that your dad worked on, just magically like given to you to sit on your desk or in your house, what would that be if that was something that could just magically appear?
Wow. From a dad movie.
Yeah, a dad movie, if that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I don't know, probably like the little podling that we had. It was like a little kid podling with red hair, and I was very attached to that, and it suddenly was gone one day. I think we're back to Henson, but yeah, I think that because I
That
really
would
just
loved
a good
just
one.
that connection. That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
And
yeah.
we took the day off school and got to be podling puppeteers
Oh,
in
neat.
one of the scenes, and so I think that's what I would connect to.
Very cool.
That's fun.
Nice.
I actually, one of my favorite besides Jawas, because Jawas are awesome.
Yep.
But it's hard to have a Jawa sitting around, in the thing. But my favorite other character is R2D2. So I think I would have an R2D2, which is, does that count as a prop or
Yes,
character?
absolutely. It's a prop. It's
Totally.
A prop.
Yeah.
That's
And
perfect. Yeah.
so and R2D2 is such a beautiful design. I'm just amazed by the coherence of it and the simplicity of it, and
Uniqueness. Yeah.
I have backpacks. I have all the little lunch boxes.
I see him. Yeah.
and
Great.
stuff. So I have a lot of R2D2 things. That's what I managed to get. Oh, blind pack. I went to the blind pack at one of the conventions, like maybe at Comic-Con or something, and I bought a few to get
Oh,
these
look
two.
at that. Just to get those two. Nice. Well
Just to get
done.
these are the ones. I didn't have to buy 18. I only had to buy like 5, which is
That's
pretty good.
pretty good. Very good. Yeah.
But I was like, those are the two things that I need most is the Jawa and R2D2.
Guys, this
Well
was
done.
fantastic. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
Thanks
And
for having us.
congratulations. Huge congratulations. Just wonderful. So yeah, really, really,
Just
really
remarkable,
cool. Yeah.
remarkable.
Just
you even stunned these two jaded movie prop podcast guests. So really well done.
Yeah.
Thanks for making us look stupid.
Oh, no. Thanks for being enthusiastic and excited about the shows forever and ever in all their different ways, because that's part of what helps the film community to be energized. So thanks for that.
Yeah, and thanks for I love your podcast. I listen to it every show, so
Oh.
it's really great. I
thank you.
appreciate
We
what you
love
do.
that.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Alrighty, that was fascinating. That was really cool. Also to hear so much about Gary Kurtz, who obviously,
legend.
I very much admire and whatnot. So, thank you both for being on the show. That was really interesting. So again, as I said, I was just shocked by the number, but boy, that's a hell of a number. But then surprisingly, to go the other way, I was surprised that the witch's hat didn't go a little higher, wherever that fits in.
And look, I know that it's always about who's there on the day and whatever,
Sure.
but like,
and it's very clear that when the hat was with the ruby slippers, there was
there
sort
was
of
a fever.
rising tides raise all boats.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right. There was definitely that. But like, I don't know. In these situations, I always just do I'm a collector. If I lost out on, as you did, you lost out on the X-Wing. If another X-Wing came along, like, where is that underbidder? And,
Right.
And maybe this was, honestly, Dave, maybe this was the underbidder,
Right,
and
maybe
there just
it's
wasn't
the fact
enough
that there's not a third bidder.
to push
exactly.
it. Yeah,
yes.
which is entirely.
There were
I'd
two,
be
which is
curious
certainly
to know.
very
Right.
possible. Back in the day, a million years ago, when the first Darth Vader showed up, the one that was from
Yeah.
Lucasfilm from the auction, that was the second Vader. I had missed out on the Vader, the stunt Vader with the cutouts in the under the cheeks that ended up in the Paul Allen collection. That was the one that was up at Mopop and whatnot. And after I missed out on that, when this next one showed up, it was a smaller percentage number because I was the underbidder and there was no third bidder. So stuff like that does happen. But I was just shocked because it was still a pretty wonderfully insane piece. What was pleasant was to see, again, solid numbers, maybe not crazy numbers, but the Singing in the Rain, Lena Lamont outfit got almost 40,000. The Once Upon a Time in the West did 40,000, but we've seen Once Upon a Time hats go even higher. So, again, these numbers were very much all over the place. And I think
the Pale Rider pistol, which I thought was a really strong performance.
That was beautiful, yeah.
A cool movie, but definitely not like the Clint movie that you would want from. And also, it's a real firearm, which just limits where you can sell it. I thought that was a really strong performance.
But I think it's sort of similar to your piece, to the guns from Tombstone, where I am wondering if there's just not a good crossover with their Western collectors, which again is sort of that thing that I think Heritage has a real advantage over everybody with sort of these just other folks, that are out there. This was look, I will say this, going back and looking at the Heritage auction, it was a bit of a hodgepodge. And I mean that, in a beautiful way. There was there was music stuff. There was obviously a lot of different prop stuff. You had the Fred Ruse collection, but there wasn't necessarily like, once you got past, I guess, if you think about the Jung piece, there were less, giant key props. You know what I mean? Yes. Like that was most of their Star Wars section. You know what I'm saying? Like there wasn't like also a lightsaber. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was definitely a bit of almost like an end of the year wrap up in an interesting kind of way.
Yeah.
Where
I bid on my first music piece.
What did you bid on?
I bid on the Abbey Road sign.
Oh,
I did. And got crushed.
You got crushed. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It sold for $22,500. And I think when you and I spoke, my guess was 20, but obviously it wouldn't even be
I was
the
underbidder, and I pushed it well past where I wanted to, but I was sitting next to for the first time in my life, I was sitting next to a friend of the podcast and guest star of the Wives episode, Caitlin Monahan, who was egging me on because we wanted this as a little art piece for our new home. And I had talked to you, I had talked to Gus Lopez, friend of the podcast, big Beatles collector, and everybody thought it was an interesting curio. And he had actually sent me, there were a couple of signs that have sold over the last 5 years, and he's like, this is where I feel like it's going to land just based on it. He's like, it's not, I understand why it's in a Beatles auction, but it's not really a Beatles piece,
right?
Because
they didn't
it's not
touch it. I mean, they didn't.
There was
build
one
it.
actually signed by McCartney, which I was like, well, he's still alive. Maybe I could get him to sign mine and really up the value of it, and get Sigourney Weaver to sign my pulse rifle and up the value of that too while she's at it. But yeah, we just to commemorate our time in London. We live nearish to the Abbey Road Studios, and that's been a big part of our time here. And it just at some point it was just like, I was just like, I can have somebody make one of those things for us, to install in the home. I don't need the conversation piece of it. And it just I could tell from the bidding that somebody had put in a really high absentee bid, because I was doing that thing where
every time you bid, it was
just immediately like, F you,
right,
every time. So anyway, but it was that was the first music thing I had ever bid on. So
very cool. Yeah, I
made Heritage a little money that day.
Yeah, exactly. You helped drive the number up a little bit.
I mean, that's the funny thing. If it wasn't for me, it would have sold for the opening bid.
Oh, okay.
It was ostensibly too big. And look, I guess you can't really tell, but it was a very there was one human bidder and there was one machine. It wasn't like, this bid came faster than this other bid, and it was always that Heritage Live thing that happens. It was just clearly an absentee bid. So I cost that guy some money. So sorry about that, but not really, because I wanted that sign. So
yes. Well, sorry, not sorry. I thought the Star Wars The Jedi matte painting, I thought that was a big number. Just,
But that's
Ewoks,
a cool
Jedi.
piece.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
absolutely cool. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm never a huge Ewok guy, so whatever. But 162, so that was like probably a 150 hammer or something
That's
like
because
that.
you have no joy in your soul, Dave. It's all
Fair enough. That's true.
it's your
That's
your
very
Grinchy
true.
nature. You don't love the space teddy bears the way that I do.
You were the right age. You were perfect.
Totally.
A pleasant number, unless you're Kelvin Mao, the Rollerball Hero glove
Yeah.
and spike glove and ball, a very healthy 32,500. I thought that was a really healthy number. Also, the static, sorry Bart, Book of the Dead from the Mummy static prop
Yeah.
at 30,000 was a very healthy
Yeah,
number.
those are
I thought.
those are
Yeah.
always strong. Those guys.
And the Fred Roos stuff, I thought did very, some stuff obviously more than others. Some
did.
people went, like the Godfather Part 2 script at 25K. The one that I thought was particularly interesting was the American Graffiti casting notes and whatnot at 8,000. Again, it was all really interesting. I wished and hoped that like somehow some library would get it all, like the Academy Library, but I'm guessing that sadly did not happen, which is kind of wild. Yeah.
The Harrison Ford the Blade Runner blaster surprised me.
Yes, because it basically, I mean, look, I don't know what you want to say. It's basically a police officer one.
Yes.
It is modeled off of Deckard's, but it is not Deckard's. It's not anything
Correct.
he uses or ever uses or whatever.
And it's a production casting of the hero, which is very cool, as is mine. But the thing that distinguishes between Deckard and just sort of background police, and apparently Holden was carrying one of these when he was
when he's
summarily
killed,
executed by
spoiler alert, he's killed.
by Leon. This was just the backup blaster for the Los Angeles police. And Deckard, the tell on his is that it has those the amber so-called amber grips. This is a very cool piece, no doubt. From the film, everything was sort of looked right about it, and it has production lineage and all that. But these typically sell in the more like 6 to 8 sort of range. I don't even know if I've seen one kiss 5 figures, and this one got way up there with I think Hammer was 18, so it was like here we go 22.5 all in. So that was a bit just surprising to me, but look, there's just not that much out there from Blade Runner, so
there is not.
There you go.
Obviously, and in a world where the ones that are the Deckard ones are such a much bigger number, this was still a deal compared to that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess probably somebody that perhaps couldn't go for the Deckard one. So
Yeah, and look, when you weigh this up against the 2049 stuff, which is also undoubtedly cool, like, do you want something from the classic film or the sequel? I think maybe that played in. I mean, this was a bargain compared to what a bunch of that stuff did in the Propstore auction for the 2049 studio auction. So.
Was there anything else you were paying attention to yourself, like that you were thinking about at all? I will admit,
really.
I was watching a bunch of things and I was interested in a bunch of things, but I have to admit I was definitely trying. I thought it was all cool. I mean, this is where I am these days. I thought it was all cool. Obviously, it's funny, the day before the auction, so 2 days before the auction, I should say. 2 days before the auction, when the Young was at 1.3, I believe, I was talking myself into throwing one bid. I can tell you that honestly now. And my assumption was I was going to be instantly outbid by whoever had that bid would probably outbid me. You know what I mean? But I was of a mind like, I'm going to throw one bid on it. And then the next day it was, or I don't remember the timing, but at some point after having made that decision, the decision was moot because it was at 3-1. And so it was a non-starter. Just truly wild. And then I will admit, like at that point, other things were interesting to me, but nothing was very, I have to have it. I really did like the young Sherlock Holmes stained glass window. It didn't go insane, sold 21 with Vig. I liked some of the Drew Struzan, Harry Potter pieces. Again, all stuff that I thought was interesting. Just at the end of the day, nothing I felt the need to pull the trigger on. And that was where I ended up on this auction. Like, I was watching a lot of things. I was watching along with the auction. Every now and then I almost hit a bid, but I guess I controlled myself a little bit, just in the sense of I don't need to fill shelves, I guess, is where I got to. Yeah.
I was in my year end. Please don't anything else come up this year. I'm paying off this sword and already consigning things for my collection. So I enjoyed this one as a spectator. It was a very eclectic group of things from history, both Hollywood and music history, and lots of really interesting paperwork and two incredible pieces of artwork to lead.
Well, we should talk a little bit about, I don't know what's going on with the Frazetta. It seemed like it was sold, and this is Kurt Hammett's Frazetta piece. It seemed like it was sold during the auction. There was applause and
Kirk
whatnot.
Hammett, Dave.
What did I
Don't
say?
get us killed
Kurt?
by the...
Did I say Kurt? Sorry.
Yes, don't get us killed by the Metallica fans. They're very...
Kirk.
They're
Kirk.
very passionate people.
Kirk Hammett.
Yes.
Enter Sandman.
Like Captain Kirk.
Gotcha. Captain Kurt. He's my favorite, Captain Kurt. Anyway, it seemed to sell, and then I don't know what happened. The bidder backed out or something, and it is available for sale. So that's got to be both disappointing to Metallica Nation and to Heritage.
Yes. This one boggles my mind because there was an underbidder on the Ape Man painting. And look, I think that's a really cool painting. We talked about it at the time.
You're just, where's that guy?
Yeah, but that is clearly to any, even the guy that owns the ape painting, that is the inferior Frazetta to, it's not inferior, it's just inferior to Conan the Conqueror. And where's the underbidder that bid 13.2 or whatever 25 or whatever the underbid was? I mean, here's a bargain deal for you, man. I don't get it.
Is that where that one? I didn't honestly even remember where that one went.
Yeah, I think it was, I don't know if it was 13.5 all in or 13.5 hammer, but
that
it was
one
a lot.
had started lower, right? That started at like 10 or 8 or something like that, and got up to it. There was more action, so to speak.
I think there was a ton of action. I think it started way lower. I don't even think it was in that range. I mean, I don't know what the opening bid was. The opening bid was in the millions, but I think it was way lower, and that's what surprised everybody that it climbed to that, because that had been an unprecedented number for even a Frazetta at that point. But I'm just shocked. I mean, $10 million is a lot of money for any painting, especially for a pop illustration painting from a pulp novel from the 1930s that was republished in the 1960s or whatever, or the 70s, whenever that one was published. But I just, if you bid 11 million on the Ape Man, I don't understand why you wouldn't just take this one for the opening bid if it was available to you.
The thing that I'll find interesting is sort of, and again, I know these are not exactly props, but they were in a prop auction, and obviously the connection to Conan. So, and that's this one maybe more so than calling this a prop auction. This felt more of like a pop culture auction, if that makes
I
maybe
agree.
just to define it ever so slightly differently. Not maybe they always are pop culture auctions, but it was a little lighter on props, just as a heritage auction goes. The collections in it were art collections, the Star Trek art, the Fred Roos art, whatnot. There was less of like a prop guy or somebody putting in a bunch of stuff from a particular movie or whatnot. So it was a little more pop culture. But anyway, what I was going to say was there's definitively been this sort of, rise up of Frazetta painting. And this one certainly will sell, for all we know, by the time this airs. It has sold, so you can check back on the Heritage site to see what's happening. But It was the first little speed bump, and I don't know what it means. And you're right. Where were those other bidders? But just sort of interesting because it has been sort of a little bit of a level up game where each one seems to go a little higher than the one previous on this sort of interesting journey up. Something, by the way, that the art world as well has taken notice of. I've sort of seen it been written up, some of the Frazetta sales. And by the way, when this sold, it was written up. And then obviously now it's undone. So I'll be curious to see. You'd like to think with all of the people they have access to that they will find someone to take it, but sort of an odd left turn, at least at the moment, as we are recording this. Any other observations for you on the overall of this heritage auction? Anything else jumping out at you or thoughts?
I mean, it was a very, top heavy kind of auction in terms of the big lots really being extra weighted at the front, but a bunch of the stuff had really reasonable opening bids, and as with most heritage auctions, there's action on everything, and everything kind of sells, and with a few exceptions, I guess. But it was just a very eclectic sort of year-end auction. I think this one just didn't have the distinct character that they've had in a lot of these auctions recently, that's been like a single consigner, where it's like this collection coming through. It didn't. This one didn't. This one had the Jung painting, but it didn't have the ruby slippers, which sort of brought in all of this, popular media outside interest that probably drove other interests into the auction a bit. And it was just a year of a lot of auctions, frankly.
It did seem like the media took more note of the Jung art after it sold than before it sold.
Yes, absolutely.
And I wondered if that had something to do with Heritage not doing an LA display this time around. Normally we go to the Beverly Hills office and get to see a bunch of stuff, and they do something. And obviously there are bidders beyond the greater Los Angeles area, but I do think it's an opportunity for the some of the internet folks and the Hollywood Reporter and whatnot to cover the stuff. And maybe there was a little less of that on the front side and more on the back side after it's sold. So that was something I sort of noticed wherever that if that had an effect or not, I don't know, but I did take notice of it. And again, I think when you look at the Fred Ruse numbers, they probably do add up to a nice number, but it was a lot of paperwork. It was a big paperwork auction. And that's just, something that's going to be different than a prop heavy auction, So,
Indeed.
Yeah. The only other thing I was going to point out, and again, good for collectors, I think in the, if you will, $0 to $5,000, there was a lot of stuff, if you know what I mean, at that price point. So I think an opportunity for buyers, perhaps, that are often shut out of other things. So again, obviously you had to be interested in what you wanted. I like the Spy Who Loved Me Stromberg henchman beret, but that was gettable for $1,000. Do you know what I mean? Again, just to pick something. Again, I always like, the Spy Who Loved Me and Carl Stromberg and all that kind of stuff. And so not a very, I think reasonable price, all things considered. So if you were finding things you were interested in, I think you were hitting hitting a good spot for yourself if it was stuff that was in your wheelhouse. So, yeah.
Yes, agreed.
All righty. Well, I think that wraps up Heritage, unless there's anything else to throw in. So let's start show number 2.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
This is the stuff dreams are made of. I'm writer-collector Ryan Condal.
And I'm writer-collector Dave Mandel. And you're listening to the original movie prop collecting podcast brought to you by Propstore. Propstore.com. They just had their big EMLA UK, Entertainment Live Auction UK in London. We're going to be talking all about that show, and I should say all about that auction. And they've got so much more coming up this January, February, plus a big auction in March. And you can go and look at our special video featuring on our YouTube channel, where you get to see me with these 2 incredible Jaws pieces that were revealed to us, literally revealed to us. They opened up a box. Incredible. And they made me cover my eyes, and we got to see the Jaws Quince harpoon gun and Quince fishing rod screen matched, which is really, really incredible.
Yeah, blew me away. Blew me away.
You were thinking Jaws, yes, because you knew I was going over to see something.
Yes, Brandon had said something, and I walked away going, "Does he mean Jaws?" I forget what the clue. It was a very obscure thing that he said, and I just was like, "Did he mean Jaws?" And so, because he said something very specific about, "Don't worry, it's not Star Wars or Indy," as a way to, because he was like, "We got a big one." I was like, "Oh shit," and but then he said something about the '70s, and I was like, what if it wasn't Star Wars? Most of my stuff sort of front loads into the 80s, or waits into the 80s. So anyway, so I was right, but I did not necessarily know or think it was that. And the harpoon in particular, I mean, the reel is really awesome too, because those have been around, but I don't think they've ever been quite right, and certainly not screen matched. And this one is just goddamn awesome. But the harpoon gun, which that brand of gun is impossible to find, just as a replica, not a replica, but like an off the shelf. Like, I would like the harpoon gun, like in Jaws. Those things are impossible to find.
Brandon sort of put it in terms that I could understand, because I only speak Star Wars. He basically said it was very similar to the Chewbacca bowcaster, where the actual crossbow is an incredibly hard item to find, even if you just want a crossbow. And speaks to, certainly with the bowcaster, why it was one of one. And on the original trilogy, and just a really almost impossible to find item, and certainly the harpoon gun, very hard to find, and really incredible. I guess it had sold in a Bonham's auction. Or was it? It was Bonham's or Butterfield's. They're now combined. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, but he
showed me the catalog cover, and it was just a catalog with very few pictures and just sort of but it said there was movie stuff in it, and it just said there was a listing from it was just a listing of a harpoon gun. So just really kind of an incredible piece of detective work on whoever it was that kind of realized what it was and now has ultimately put it into the hands of Propstore. Really incredible. The other thing that's really funny, and some people were asking questions, and I don't have an answer, is there is, I believe, 2 harpoon guns on display at the Jaws exhibit, and there is also, I believe, at least a fishing rod on display on the Jaws exhibit. And I certainly don't want to say anything untoward about any of it, and one of them is, I believe, from Steven Spielberg's collection, but none of them, I believe, have the same screen match. I mean, this one is just like talking about the harpoon gun, an insane screen match, and then that very specific, if you will, effects piece that they actually use to shoot into the shark.
Yeah.
Nothing like that exists. So it does make me wonder, what are those things? I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but it is the issue with all found props, that even though we are saying and taking it a little for granted that these are hard to find, it doesn't mean other people didn't find them over the years, and I don't know what they are.
I've heard that the vertical cinema team at the Academy Museum is getting right on it, and they are not going to rest until they have vertically gotten to the bottom of this.
They're putting the Agnes Varga team on it. They're gonna figure it all out.
No, they're not going to rest until it's...
Yeah, I think if the Caribbean cinema team can get a jump on it. And also, they're doing the 9th revision of the Jews in Hollywood. They're calling it now Some Jews in Hollywood to kind of hedge their bets. Look, I'm assuming in this case, you're getting it from Steven Spielberg. Where did he get it? Because I do believe it was an auction piece. It raises a lot of questions about found item props, and certainly with a found item prop, I don't know what, I want to be really clear. I don't know what those other pieces are. They certainly may have been used in Jaws, but these 2 screen match to Jaws.
That's a good future topic for us, is just found item props and how you kind of, without the screen match or with the screen match, how you weight and evaluate those things.
Yeah, really, really interesting and really, really tough. So let's jump to the what's new in props, Ryan.
I'm out. I'm out for 2025. What about you?
Come on, man. The only thing I
Should
did...
I just show the sword again?
Yeah, just show the sword as if you've never shown it. I got something. No, I thought I was going to on Friday, I thought I was going to pick up the pieces that I won at the Able auction that I won the gopher from Caddyshack. And I had a surprise second piece that I was going to surprise you with, which I will still surprise you with, but I'm going to wait till the next time. But my Friday just got away from me, and so sorry.
Was it a Jaws harpoon gun?
It's a Jaws harpoon gun. Does not screen match, but and it does not have the other piece. But
Agnes Varda said that it was good.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess this will have to wait for the future. I apologize. But so I wanted to pick them up and didn't pick them up. So my what's new in props is I didn't pick anything up. So close, but no cigar. Yeah. I did go see last night, which was very fun. I went and saw the Wages of Fear at the Egyptian.
Yes.
Really, really wonderful to see on the big screen.
Which I admitted I have not seen. I've seen the William Friedkin remake,
Yes.
Sorcerer, but never seen the original French one. Was it it was subtitled, not
Subtitled,
dubbed?
yeah. The whole thing is subtitled. Although there are a couple, it is that same mishmash of international characters.
Okay.
So there are a couple of Americans. So there are times where they're subtitling Italian, they're subtitling German, most of it's French, but there is one spot or two where they talk English to each other because they're Americans.
That's cool.
In this sort of like weird place, which is very interesting. As always, the Egyptian, an amazing place. If you're in LA, I highly recommend joining the American Cinematique and getting yourself a membership. And they are also going to be programming at the Westwood, the Bruin Westwood that all those directors bought. Reitman's son, and I don't know, a bunch of directors purchased it.
I forgot the collective behind that, but yeah, that's a cool thing.
And I guess so. The Cinematique's going to be it's going to be great to have that theater back, and the Cinematique is going to be programming there as well. So that'll be very exciting. Yeah,
awesome.
So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, so a little plug for them, even though they're not a sponsor. Brought to you by Propstore.
And we teased this in the first episode of this two-parter. But I'd said I wanted to get Bart to do the official count. We did 44 episodes this year. Prior to this one,
we should be committed. So 46.
This is number 45. This is number 45.
Two.
Yeah,
45 and
46 is us
45
just being led
46.
led off to Arkham Asylum in straitjackets. I can't believe that's man.
Yeah.
So we only after thinking that the podcast maybe come to an end, we did basically an episode every week, but for 6 weeks this year.
So 45 episodes, 44 of them were about auctions.
Yeah. Don't get me started. You guys are very lucky to have us. I'm just saying. We are a busy.
I feel like all the
men.
podcasts that I like they do like 6, and then you don't get another. It's like a Netflix show. You don't get another one for 2 years or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
45. What the fuck? Yeah.
We really need to do some self-reflection.
Hey, someone needs to up my meds.
All right. So should we talk about this auction?
This was very interesting. I know we made a lot of jokes on the live auction. I definitely heard people talking to me during and after the fact about a little bit of worry about the tariff situation. Again, faith in Propstore that they were doing it right, but just wondering what if I get hit with a tariff. And that on top of the dollar and its relation to the pound, I definitely think there were some hesitant bidders, although obviously there were some things at some really incredible prices. So, I think it worked both ways. I will simply say, in the stuff that one of the pieces I was bidding on, I was very interested in the, where is it? There it is. I was very interested in the Ralph McQuarrie Cloud City artwork. No surprise, perhaps. As always, pick up the Art of Ralph McQuarrie book by myself, Brandon Allinger, and Wade LaJose. I was the high bidder at a couple of points. I think I had it at 30. Then the guy cut bid. Then I went on top of that person at 32.5, but then I think somebody else, I don't think it was the cup bidder, but I'm not sure, came back in at 35,000 pounds. And I will be honest, I really did like it, but 35,000 pounds, which obviously, as you can see here, is 44,000 pounds with the VIG, and obviously 44,000 pounds times 1.5 is 60,000, and I really loved it, but just not at 60,000. So the combination of the buyer's premium and the pounds to dollars just wasn't working in my favor, I can simply say, and I let it go. I mean, I liked it a whole bunch. It's not a reflection on the piece, but I do find that happens to me more in the London world, where I do ultimately I'm a little shyer, I guess, with my bidding.
Yeah. It's a lot of math to keep up with, because those numbers go up fast, and you have to be able to do the quick conversion to dollars, and then you add the 25% on top of that, and it moves quick.
I may have given this as a story once, but years and years ago, I was with my family in the sort of Norwegian countries, or I don't know if that's the right word for it, but up there, Scandinavian, the north, and we took a night cruise. I can't remember, from either Norway to Copenhagen or Copenhagen to Norway, but it was a cruise ship, basically an evening cruise ship. And they had a casino on it. So it was dollars into krona and then krona into chips. And it was baffling. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm good at math, and it was baffling. You know, it was hard to keep track of. And that's, for me, like I said, at 35, I just went, oof, a little rich for my blood. A lovely, lovely piece. Was sort of sad to see it go, but such was life.
Yeah, you're all right. You didn't need it.
I'm okay. I mean, what I have, I was very happy about. A very healthy number on the Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom. A fedora,
Indeed.
I thought, especially.
That was a great hat.
Great hat, but wasn't matched, which seems to be something people want these days. I have no problem with it not being matched. It was clearly a great hat, but it was interesting to see. I'm always shocked when the Kenobi lightsaber from Phantom Menace, 289,000 pounds.
Yeah, wow. That was
I wonder if that's part of just lightsaber fever. You know what I mean?
I think it's the Lucas letter. I just think.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough.
I just think that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The elf costume, a huge number, 239, and the return of hoverboards.
Yeah, elf showed us after we mocked it.
Yes, exactly. We mocked it being on the cover, and it just a perennial favorite, I guess.
He called Dave and I a bunch of cotton-headed ninny muggins and showed us how stupid.
Yeah, how it's done. Yeah. And I started to say the return of hoverboards, which are fascinating to me because, this one, a huge number, 233,000 pounds. After a couple seemed to be a little, cool a little bit for a bit. And now back to this number. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. Maybe it's been a little while since a really good one showed up at auction.
Certainly a really good one. I do think when new people do come into the hobby, I think it is a very, I don't want to say easy, because I don't want to insult it, but it's a very easy piece to like lock in on and kind of go, oh, I'd like that. Do you know what I mean?
Everybody remembers that prop. It's a science fiction prop from this beloved franchise. It is a very like kind of low hanging fruit. And I don't mean that in a pejorative way.
No, nothing wrong with it. I just think maybe what we're sometimes seeing with the numbers is just it takes a couple of new folks to be in the hobby that kind of to make the number rise again. 200,000 on the Goonies coin was wild.
Yeah.
195.
Wow. I mean, that's a great piece.
It's an incredible piece, and also 195 on the multipass. So that was wild.
And that is that a record for a non-ZF1 Fifth Element piece? I think it is. And actually, I don't know that the ZF1s ever got that high.
I guess
maybe one of them did.
I guess this is one of one. I guess when it sold originally, it sold for a good number at the time. Obviously not this number. And I guess this is the piece multiple people have been, multi-pass. Multiple people were waiting to bid on it because, it took a couple people to tango.
Yeah, and there's also this like 90s thing happening now that wasn't happening a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And
I agree with that.
That's a big one.
we did see, as happens with Propstore, they had, unsold stuff each day. Things then did sell after the fact, but some things still haven't sold. So, for example, the Rebel Pilot helmet is still unsold, although the puppet Luke from Empire, the jumping one, was unsold, but has now sold. It looks like
Yes.
It looks like the new bid there is, I guess technically it was below the minimum plus VIG. So there you go. Still a very solid price, but I do think I do think they are some of those starting bids when they are aggressive, that is what happens. There's a deal to be made. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the Stormtrooper blaster went unsold, which surprised me just because that was such a unique example. And
I do think it's great, but 100,000 pounds. I mean, again, I just don't. It's a big number. It's a big number again.
I bet that sell. I bet that.
I bet it'll sell eventually, especially if the owner is a little bit reasonable, perhaps. The Superman 3 cape was a good number at 75,000 pounds. Actually, someone I know, I'm trying to get him to see if he wants to come on and tell the story, come on and talk about buying it. But I know the person who bought it is a friend of mine. And this is something he'd been looking for forever. And so very happy that he got
Was
that.
it Dean Cain?
It's Dean, my buddy Dean Cain, and I guess he's going to wear it during some of the ice raids. So, feel free to throw garbage at him on it. So yeah,
A sandwich.
yeah. Good luck, Dean. But by the way, the Superman 3 tunic is still unsold, which is the tunic, without the pants or anything like that. What else was interesting to me? I don't even remember if I got a chance to bid on it. I was on the phone for the Beetlejuice handbook, which sold for 107,000 pounds.
Yeah, I did a little bidding on that. My daughter actually did a little bidding on that.
Oh, that's nice. Did she
had
like it?
Her first taste of auction fever. Yeah, she liked it a little too much, I think.
I was going to
take
say,
the
did you have to
paddle
wrestle it out of her hand? What's wrong with you? Bid.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a surprise. We've been talking about for a while the sort of, the rarity of these things. And there was such lovely hand craftsmanship on this piece, which I didn't expect until obviously I got to see it in person, that I thought it was pretty spectacular. So yeah, I mean, again, big numbers, the Shining Axe, whatever. The one number,
Shining Axe did really well.
The one number, and I'm not going to sort of say it was maybe disappointing, but I did perhaps get the sense that they were hoping for more. Obviously, it was a wide range, 350 to 700,000. I think everyone was hoping for more on the Boba Fett gun. That's just my own guess. I'll be very honest, I didn't bid on it. It was kind of around the number that I had been talking to the owner about, and I just sort of was like, nah, life's too short. I couldn't get it before the auction. I don't need to bid it up or just for the hell of it or whatever. I will also say for me, and I did a lot of thinking about it. I guess I continue to wish that the MP, what do you call it? The saber part, the MP, MPP. Yes. Thank you. MPP, yeah, you know me. I wish that was just the barrel as opposed to an additional part, that more of the shape of the gun had just simply been the gun, if that makes any sense.
Right,
yes, I don't know. That's my own mushagas, but it definitely sort of hit me. But I don't know. Again, a really, this is where we're getting back to this issue. A really wonderful piece, an absolutely great piece. Boba Fett, one of a kind, the serial number, all the things you would want. I don't know what else to say. But look, where it ended. Look again. It's a $450,000 pound winning bid. That's with everything all in, and then convert it to dollars. That's just a big number for a gun. And I guess at the end of the day, for me, I guess a gun I didn't need, and it didn't quite seem to. I didn't hear from as many of the Star Wars guys I usually hear from. I have no idea who won it or anything, but it didn't quite seem to be as in demand for the Star Wars fans as some of the other pieces in the past, I guess, where there's lots of phone calls and lots of joking around and whatnot, just wherever. I was very sad that the Highlander pieces didn't sell. Neither of them sold.
Very surprised by that.
And I was a little surprised that Pruneface didn't sell. I didn't think 20,000 was the worst number in the world,
No.
The low end, whatever. So I think there's a deal to be made there. Really good numbers on, the Pulp Fiction and the dog food and stuff. My gosh, the cigarettes, the Red Apple cigarettes. And those were some big
missed our
numbers.
window.
Yeah, I know. I think we really missed our window. So, yeah. What else occurred to you? Did you think about bidding on anything else? Were you playing around? How did your stuff do also?
I did. My pulse rifle did really well. A new record for an unmatched stunt. So there was that stunt that sold, I don't know, 4 years ago or whatever, that was matched to Vasquez. It was a little bit of it was a very unique rifle out of a different mold. It felt like more of a principal stunt, something that was meant to be kind of carried maybe a little closer to the camera in action by a principal character. That did much better than this. But for these sort of what I would call like set deck rifles that were probably just made to fill the armory or whatever, not necessarily carried by principal characters, did really, really, really well. And look, it was a great piece and really good source and all that. But these are around, and I was just hoping to kind of do a couple bids, and it got some action really early. It was like lot 12 or something. Got really early action. I got to sit there and watch it go live. It was exciting. And that was a big thrill. And my Men in Black suits both got a couple bids and sold. And then I had a couple Conan drawings, which both I think went for the opening bid, which was fine because I had, hundreds of dollars into them. It was like nothing.
Sure.
So yeah, everything went and is now, going to, along with the 44 episodes of this podcast that we've done, going to pay off my Propstore debt. No, I was really happy with how everything performed, particularly the pulse rifle, because that was one that I bought it really wanting it 10 years ago, but I was a little wary about the number that I paid for it, and here we are 10 years later, and look, it's not Bitcoin, but it did well.
No,
enough
I think we
to
would have all
justify.
done better with Bitcoin, but yes, exactly.
Yes,
although we would have just forgotten our password, so who knows?
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, that's me. That's my.
Well, I'm glad they all did well. You're happy.
I was thrilled, and I did a little bidding. I kind of unseriously bid on the Beetlejuice book. I was just trying to give my daughter something to do, so I let her bid very early when I knew it would go up. But if we did accidentally win it, I would have been fine at the price that we bailed out on. But I did win this little piece, which I didn't mention in the sort of run up to the auction, just because I didn't want to put eyes and radar on it, because I don't know who else would have wanted it for the specific reason that I did, but I just wanted to make sure that I got it. I won this little lot that had Dallas's metal name badge from Alien.
This was
from
day
his EVA
day
suit.
two, just to point
this is
that
day
out
two.
for folks. Yeah.
There was a bunch of other pieces in it. There's a brass from the etchings that they put on the spacesuit costumes and things like that. It's very cool. All production stuff from Alien and clearly from a crew source. But I have a replica Dallas, like sort of, it's his little plastic breastplate, and sort of inlaid into that is this metal nameplate that says Dallas on it. So at least I have an original nameplate now, which is for a costume that, was not, it was, I don't know, 65, 70% of the way there. I've now got like a costume that's basically, 85, 90% complete.
The piece by piece that you've sort of done with this is really, it's really great and just really cool. Just the that it can be done. You know what I mean? Like that you can put a piece together like that is really. I don't know, a very fun, both a fun project. I enjoy things like that. I do it, in comic art as well, where there's something to be said for. I don't know. This is gonna sound silly, but like. When you're sort of, oddly, occasionally going like, oh my God, that piece is, oh, that's going crazy. I can't bid on that. And you found a little piece for your costume. That's just a huge win, even though you didn't get the 10,000-pound dog food from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it fills a collecting space when you have these ongoing projects that I certainly really appreciate. I like having those. Yeah.
Yeah, and the value versus what I spent on it, which was all covered by my sales and everything. The value of it to me and to that costume is so much more. So it was really enjoyable. And actually, I already found a couple of buyers for the other little bits in that.
Oh, nice, good.
In that lot. So I'll even defray the cost.
What were
more.
those? I know you mentioned them to me, but what were they? Like,
There was there's a Lambert badge in there. I don't think it's not her nameplate. It's something from one of her costumes. And then there's etchings. So the brass etchings, which are inlaid into the helmet and the sort of shoulder bells that make it look. It's just really interesting. It's like a John Mallow detail where it's a futuristic thing with this almost kind of. I don't know. It's like almost like hieroglyphics that they make it look. It's sheets of brass, and they're in like distinct shapes, and they're sort of inlaid into the like channels on the helmet and the shoulder pads. They had this really cool detail, and they catch light and all that because they're brass. It's really, really beautiful and cool. I'd actually, ironically, I needed a sheet of it when I got the costume, and a friend of mine was kind enough to have an extra sheet and supply it for the little restoration that the costume went under. But that was another piece that I was able to add to make it more original at the time. And this one's been a fun project. So anybody out there that has Dallas stuff, I have a pair of boots. They're Lambert boots, so they're not quite right, but at least they're original boots. I would love a pair of Dallas boots, and I need the shoulder bells, which is attached to the neck ring, and then the only other thing that would be missing would be the plastic plate on the chest, and the rest of it, the helmet, suit, the backpack, the gloves, all that stuff, the belt holster, it's all original. So I'm pretty damn excited about where I am with that, and the great Gino Sabatino is hopefully beavering hard away, gnawing on that the stump of I don't know, my beaver metaphor is working hard at making that
he very well may be working on it, because I don't know if he talked to him. His car caught on fire, so he doesn't have a car now. So I think he's just trapped in his house, working on your stuff. Yeah,
needing a new car.
Right,
all
exactly.
Good thing, all good places.
All
to
works
be.
to your favor.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you had to light his car on fire to get it done like that, but it probably helped. So
I didn't do it, Dave. Gina did it. She, as you know, she's a violent person and was looking for some vengeance. So I sent her to Gino's to firebomb his car.
Well, good luck, Gino and Gina. Anything else you noticed in here? Sort of any patterns? Anything that you were shocked by? Anything sort of fascinating to you? It was they had a hell of an overall number in sale. I mean, it was sort of far more prop heavy than obviously the Heritage Auction. I think to their benefit. Nothing that's sold in the 4 million range, but I think more pieces in the $100,000 range if we're comparing things.
Certainly, I think 10 million pounds was basically the total hammer, which means $13.5 million. I mean, between that and the lightsaber auction, they had a hell of a second
back end of the year.
The back end of the year, final 4 months, whatever. But they had a hell of a year, I think, as Propstore. So they've got to be pleased. I mean, this stuff keeps coming up. They sell things that have sold before, like indie hats. They keep doing well, and elf costumes and hoverboards. And then they make hay with new things like Boba Fett blasters and multi-passes. And books of recently deceased. I mean, they have to be happy. I mean, to me, it's like you see these things, the stuff that's from the genre stuff from the 1980s continues to be the gold standard for what does well, and I would say 70s if it happens to be Star Wars or Jaws, and then the 90s seems to be bleeding in a bit too, and getting these kind of bigger numbers, as we saw with the multipass, we saw with the Neuralizer, which one of your co-hosts had bid on in the last auction. I mean, this stuff is just really performing strong, and it doesn't seem to be turning back. And it sounds like, just talking to them kind of casually without saying anything, I think, out of school, it seems like there's every auction they're getting a bunch of new bidders in. Like new people are showing
Which,
up.
by
Not
the
that
way,
weren't
I think makes sense
like
across
not this
the
year,
board.
like
right.
this auction versus the last auction, which was only a couple of months ago. So I think the hobby is growing. I think the interest,
I think,
the
look,
breadth
if
of the
nothing
interest
else,
is
the
growing.
press of the numbers is doing two things. I think it's certainly lets people know that if you have something you've been sitting on, you hear the stories of the person going like, oh, I had this sitting in my house, I never realized, and I sold it. Now I called up and I sold it. So that happens, obviously. But I think more importantly, forgetting about the numbers for a second, and look, I think this is true for auction houses across the board. I just think people discover like, oh, I didn't know you could buy original props. You know what I mean? It just takes like knowing like, oh, I could get a lightsaber, I could get a this, I could get a that. And so, yeah, people are coming in, and look, younger people are, how does one say, coming into their, I guess, forgive me, fortunes, if you will. And so you have new money, younger money looking at younger movies and things of that nature. So that's happening as well. They also, in this auction, they seem to break in a sort of an animation section. It was a lot of stuff around, 300 pounds and change, but they
That
sold
stuff did crazy strong. I was bidding on a Simpsons cell, and I got crushed.
The Simpsons cells were like over 1,000 pounds. So
Yeah,
those
a bunch
are
of them.
solid
there were
numbers.
ones that went thousands of pounds.
Oh, were
for
there?
Simpsons.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't paying much attention. I will not lie. I
tried to get the Treehouse of Horror with Homer chasing Bart with the axe.
Gotcha.
From
the
that
Shining sort of one.
The Fly episode that I love. Don't go crazy. Don't mind if I do. There was that I think they were also very pleased and maybe even a little surprised at how well the animation stuff did. But I think that's the thing, that those always sit in different auctions, and when you wave those under the nose of TV and movie collectors, it's like, oh yeah, this stuff is cheap, quote unquote,
right,
compared to indie hats and Goonies coins and things like that. I'll take a Simpsons cell, and they had great ones in there too.
I don't know if their end goal is to break this off into its own standalone auction, but I do think it was actually on the tail end of an entertainment auction. You didn't win anything, but you saw a cool Simpsons cell and you bid and you win it. So I think it's probably a good strategy. I'll be curious to see if they do break it off, if it stands as strongly. I think they went out of their way. They chose, again, a lot of like 90s and, like stuff. You know what I mean? It was, this was not heavy on like classic Disney from the 50s. Do you know what I mean? Where those are big ticket items, but it's a very specialty group of buyers. This was a little bit more of like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to have just a simple like a Peanuts one or a Tintin one or whatever it was. So yeah.
Whew. It's been a year, Dave. It's been quite a year.
That's a hell of a year.
Are you ready for 2026?
Not in the least. At least it's rained here, so hopefully we won't be starting the year with fire. So that's something.
That's what I think that was our first episode this year, was the fire emergency special. So we've come a long way. Your X-Wing has left the apartment and returned and survived.
It has traveled far more than I ever imagined it would.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap it up with a little bit of housekeeping, which is to say we are going to take a break. You probably will not see us in January unless anything radical happens, and possibly not even in a little bit of February unless something radical happens. But we'll be back. As always, we'll kind of circle the auctions and kind of, try and add some exciting programming. I do think when we come back, we will start with or at least get to very quickly, kind of as we enter 2026, perhaps a state of our own collections, of where things sort of stand, of what we're looking for, what we're trying to do, goals, sales, whatnot, but just sort of that part of things, because I think that's always fun to do, kind of a state of the union, if you will, as we roll into 2026, and just talking about what's going on in the hobby, because it's it's ever changing in a fascinating way. But we definitely it has been changing a lot of late, and again, the numbers that we're seeing, the big numbers that we're seeing, are I'm not sure anybody, including the prop sellers, expected those years ago. So it's a pretty wild run. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everybody. I don't know what else to say. Anything you got to say?
Live long and prosper.
As Luke Skywalker says, live long and prosper. We will see
Captain Kurt.
Yeah, Captain Kurt. We'll see you in 2026. I guess write us. We'll keep following along on social media and YouTube channels. Maybe there'll be the occasional surprise there. And I don't know what else to say. You got anything else? I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. 45. I'm still reeling from 45 episodes. I don't know how this happened. Please don't tell my wife.
4.5. Just move the decimal. Yeah.
Let's just move the decimal. just like with a prop buy. And leave out that buyer's premium.
Which will should be more bothered by the total number spent or the total number of episodes or the total number of hours?
No, definitely the total number of episodes. At least at least the number spent is an investment in our future in theory.
You're never getting those 45 hours back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with the way we record. That's like 90.
It's like 90 hours of like childhood development missed, just completely missed.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Forever. All right. We'll see you guys in 2026. Be good.
Bye, everyone. Happy holidays.